What if I told you that 1,000 years ago a Viking warrior bleeding on a battlefield in the frozen north didn't stop fighting to find a doctor? He reached into the pouch on his belt, pulled out a handful of plants, and kept going. The Norse were not just raiders and explorers, they were among the most knowledgeable healers of the medieval world. Viking medicine women, called Volvas and Wise Women, maintained battle medicine kits that traveled with every longship and every warband. Plants gathered from the fjords, the forests, and the frozen tundra. Plants that stopped bleeding, fought infection, dulled pain, and kept warriors alive when nothing else could. Modern science has gone back and looked at these plants one by one. And the verdict is clear. The Vikings knew exactly what they were doing. Today I'm going to show you 10 of those forgotten Norse battlefield plants, what they looked like, how the Vikings used them, and how you can use them right now. Stay with me, because number 6 on this list was called the plant of the war goddess, and laboratory studies just confirmed it kills antibiotic-resistant bacteria. And number 10 was so effective that Viking healers were considered more valuable than warriors by some Norse chiefs. I'm the Earth Keeper, and this is the asphalt. Number 1, Yarrow, Achillea. The Norse called it gulert, the gold herb. And on a Viking battlefield, gold was exactly what it was worth. Yarrow is a feathery-leafed plant with flat-topped clusters of tiny white or pale yellow flowers. It grows along roadsides, meadows, and riverbanks across Scandinavia, North America, and Europe. Crush a leaf between your fingers and you will smell something sharp, clean, and ancient. Norse sagas document yarrow as the first plant reached for when a man was cut in battle. Warriors packed crushed yarrow leaves directly into open wounds to stop hemorrhaging. The plant was so deeply associated with battlefield survival that it appears in Norse medical texts alongside prayers to Odin. Modern studies confirm yarrow is a genuine hemostatic. It shortens bleeding time and contains real antimicrobial compounds. Crush fresh yarrow leaves and press them firmly to a wound. Keep dried yarrow in your first aid kit. It has been earning its place there for 1,000 years. Safety note: avoid during pregnancy. Some people experience skin sensitivity. Always identify positively before use. Number 2, Juniperus communis. The Norse antiseptic juniper was everywhere in the Viking world. It grew on the hillsides above their villages, along the coastlines they sailed, and in the cold highlands where they hunted. Juniper is an evergreen shrub with sharp needle-like leaves and small blue-black berries with a dusty gray coating. The berries, the leaves, and the wood all carry that sharp, clean, resinous scent that anyone who has walked a northern forest will recognize instantly. Norse healers used juniper smoke to purify wounds in sick rooms, burning the branches over injured men to prevent infection. Juniper berry tea was given for urinary infections, digestive problems, and fever. Crushed berries were applied directly to infected wounds and skin conditions. Modern research confirms juniper contains compounds with genuine antibacterial and antifungal properties. Studies show juniper essential oil is effective against a range of bacterial and fungal pathogens. Brew a gentle tea from a small amount of dried berries for urinary support and digestive health. Safety note: do not use during pregnancy. Do not use in large amounts or long-term. The compounds that make it effective can stress the kidneys with overuse. Number 4, Angelica, archangelica, the Viking survival plant. Angelica is one of the few plants that appears in nearly every Norse medical text that has survived to the present day. It was so important that the Vikings brought it with them when they colonized Iceland, deliberately transplanting it to new soil so they would never be without it. Angelica is a tall, dramatic plant, sometimes reaching 6 feet, with large divided leaves and massive rounded clusters of pale greenish-white flowers. In the cold northern climate, it grows in river valleys, coastal areas, and damp meadows. Norse healers used the root for digestive ailments, respiratory infections, and as a general strengthening tonic for warriors weakened by wounds or illness. The seeds were used for stomach complaints, and the leaves applied to skin conditions. Modern research confirms Angelica root contains compounds with genuine anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and digestive supporting properties. A tea made from the dried root was the Viking equivalent of what we would now call an immune tonic. Safety note: Angelica can cause photosensitivity. Avoid sun exposure after topical use. Not for use during pregnancy. Identify with certainty before use, as it resembles toxic plants in the same family. Number 5, Cleavers, Galium, aparine. The lymph mover. Cleavers is the sticky plant that grabbed onto your clothes as a child and refused to let go. That stubborn clinging quality is the plant's way of spreading its seeds, and it turns out the plant that sticks to everything also sticks in the memory of every traditional healer who ever worked with it. Cleavers grows as a sprawling annual with small white flowers and round seed pods covered in tiny hooks. It scrambles over hedges, along stream banks, and through disturbed ground across the entire northern world. Norse healers used cleavers specifically for swollen glands, lymphatic congestion, and wounds that were slow to heal, understanding that moving stagnant fluid from an injury was essential for recovery. Modern herbalists call it one of the best lymphatic herbs available, and research supports its use for inflammation and fluid balance. The fresh plant juice, or a cold infusion of the dried herb, was traditionally taken internally for lymphatic support and applied topically to wounds and skin conditions. Safety note: use the fresh or carefully dried plant, generally considered safe for short-term use. As always, consult a professional for ongoing health concerns. Number 6. Thymus, the war goddess plant. In Norse tradition, thyme was associated with Freya, goddess of love, fertility, and war. Warriors wore sprigs of thyme into battle for courage. But the Norse also understood something that took modern science until the 20th century to confirm. Thyme kills things. Dangerous things. On contact, thyme is a small, low-growing woody herb with tiny oval leaves and clusters of pink-purple flowers. It grows in dry, rocky soil and has one of the most distinctive aromas in the plant world. Warm, earthy, medicinal. Norse healers used thyme in wound washes as a fumigant to purify sick rooms and in preparations for respiratory infections. Modern research has confirmed that thymol, the primary compound in thyme, has powerful antibacterial and antifungal properties. Laboratory studies show thyme extract is effective against a range of pathogens, including some antibiotic-resistant strains. Make a strong thyme tea and use it cooled as a wound wash or gargle for throat infections. For respiratory support, steep a tablespoon of fresh or dried thyme in hot water and breathe in the steam. Safety note: generally very safe as a culinary and medicinal herb, thyme essential oil is highly concentrated and should not be used undiluted on skin. Number 7. Plantain Weed. Plantago major, the wound leaf. The Norse called it wegbraid, the road broadleaf, because it grew wherever humans walked. And wherever humans walked and got injured, it was there waiting. Plantain weed grows flat to the ground, in lawns, paths, and disturbed soil everywhere. It has oval-ribbed leaves with parallel veins running from base to tip and sends up thin flower spikes. Norse healers applied crushed plantain leaves directly to wounds, burns, and insect bites as an immediate field dressing. The plant appears repeatedly in the 9 Herbs Charm, one of the oldest surviving Old English medical texts with deep Norse roots, listed as one of the most powerful healing plants known. Modern research confirms genuine wound healing, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial effects. A clinical trial showed plantain ointment outperforms standard treatment on second-degree burns. Take a fresh leaf, crush it, or briefly chew it, and press directly to a cut, sting, or bite. Pain and swelling begin to reduce within minutes. Safety note: use leaves from areas not treated with pesticides. For serious wounds, always seek professional medical care. Number 8. Horsetail, Equisetum, the ancient healer. Horsetail is older than the Vikings by about 400 million years. It is one of the most ancient plant species still living on Earth, a direct descendant of the forests that covered this planet before the dinosaurs. And somehow, across all that time, it never lost its usefulness to the creatures that walked beside it. Horsetail grows in damp ground, near streams and marshes, producing segmented hollow green stems that look almost like bamboo at a small scale. The Norse used horsetail specifically for wounds that would not stop bleeding and for bone and connective tissue injuries. The plant is extraordinarily rich in silica, a mineral essential for collagen formation, bone repair, and tissue healing. Modern research confirms horsetail has genuine hemostatic and anti-inflammatory properties. Studies show its silica content genuinely supports connective tissue repair and bone density. A strong tea made from the dried stems was used internally for bone and joint support and applied as a compress to slow healing wounds. Safety note: do not use the fresh plant. It contains an enzyme that destroys B vitamins. Dry or cook before use, not for long-term use without professional guidance. Number 9. Meadowsweet, Filipendula, Olmaria, the pain reliever. Before there was aspirin, there was and long before either of those, there were Norse healers who knew exactly what this plant could do. Meadowsweet grows in damp meadows and along stream banks, producing clouds of creamy white fragrant flowers in mid. The The scent is sweet and slightly almond-like, unmistakable once you know it. The plant was considered sacred in Norse tradition and was one of the herbs strewn on the floors of great halls for its fragrance and its protective properties. But Norse healers also used it medicinally for pain, fever, and the stomach ailments that plagued warriors on long campaigns. Meadowsweet contains salicylates, the same compounds aspirin was eventually derived from. But unlike aspirin, meadowsweet does not cause stomach irritation. In fact, it soothes the stomach while relieving pain, because the whole plant contains buffering compounds that were stripped away when chemists isolated just one molecule. Modern studies confirm anti-inflammatory and gastroprotective properties. Brew the dried flowers as a pleasant sweet-scented tea for headaches, fever, and joint pain. Safety note: contains natural avoid if sensitive to aspirin. Not for use in children with viral illnesses. Do not use if taking blood thinners. Number 10. Iceland Moss. Citraria islandica. The healer's secret weapon. Iceland moss is not actually a moss. It is a lichen, a remarkable living partnership between fungus and algae, and it may be the single most important medicinal organism in the entire Norse pharmacopoeia. It grows in the cold, rocky highlands of Iceland, Scandinavia, and northern regions, forming flat, brownish-gray leathery mats across the ground and on stones. Norse healers called it a complete medicine in one plant. They used it for chest infections, digestive weakness, wound healing, and as a nourishing food for warriors too sick to eat normally. Some Norse chieftains kept dedicated healers, whose primary role was knowing where to find and how to prepare. Iceland moss considered so valuable that these healers were protected from battle. Modern research has confirmed that Iceland moss contains usnic acid and lichinin compounds with powerful antimicrobial, immune-supporting, and prebiotic effects. Studies show it is effective against respiratory pathogens and supports digestive healing. A decoction of the dried lichen, simmered gently in water for 20 minutes, was the traditional preparation for chest infections and digestive weakness. Safety note: use only sustainably harvested material from clean, unpolluted environments. Prepare properly. Raw lichen contains bitter acids that must be reduced by soaking or cooking. 10 plants. 1,000 years of Norse wisdom. These were not superstitions carved into root. These were the working knowledge of healers who kept armies alive through Arctic winters, ocean crossings, and brutal campaigns across the known world. The Volvas and Wise Women who carried this knowledge were not folk practitioners on the margins of their society. They were essential, respected, feared, even, because they understood something that we are only now fully rediscovering. The earth provides, it has always provided. The plants are still here, growing in the same damp meadows, the same rocky hillsides, the same forgotten corners of the world where Norse healers gathered them 1,000 years ago. They've been waiting with the same quiet patience they have always had, waiting for us to remember what they are. Start with one. Learn its name. Learn its story. Let it become part of your life the way it was part of theirs. Nature is waiting. It has always been waiting. I'm the Earth Keeper, and this has been the Earth Vault. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because next week we are going even deeper into the forgotten healing traditions of the ancient world. And what is waiting there will change the way you see the earth beneath your feet.